Welcome to the Sober and Happy podcast, where we talk about all things recovery related, how to navigate the challenges that we'll face along the way on our journey towards our best lives, and how we could go from living a life of simply just being sober to a life where we're both sober and happy. As we head into the new year, it's natural to start thinking about resolutions. Those promises we make to ourselves to be better, do better, and achieve more. But here's the thing. If we skip the step of reflecting on the lessons we've learned from the past year, we often find ourselves setting the same resolutions over and over again, wondering why they don't stick. Instead of jumping straight into what we want for 2025, what if we pause to look at 2024 first? What worked? What didn't? What do we need to let go of, and what should we be doubling down on? By reflecting on our own experiences, the successes and the failures, we could approach the new year with a clear direction and a renewed sense of purpose. Today, I will share with you the top 5 lessons I've learned in 2024, each one tied to moments of reflection, struggle, and growth in my life. My hope is that they'll inspire you to take some time to reflect on your own year and carry forward the insights that will help you create the life you want in 2025. So buckle up. This is going to be a great episode. As we close out 2024, I've been reflecting on the lessons I've learned this year. Many of the topics we've discussed on the podcast have been inspired by things I was either struggling with or working to improve in my own life. So when I look back at the top lessons I've learned, they also feel like a review of this year's podcast episodes. These lessons aren't just things I've shared with you. They're things I've lived through, wrestled with, and grown from. Recovery isn't just about quitting drinking. It's about growing, learning, and facing challenges head on. This year has been full of lessons that have shaped not only how I approach my sobriety, but also how I approach life in general. Today, I'm sharing the top 5 lessons I've learned over the past year. Lessons I hope will resonate with you as much as they've impacted me. So let's dive in. Lesson 1. When you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing. This lesson hit me hard this year. In fact, if I were to name my 2024, it would be the year of overcommitting. I basically took my already busy life from 2023 and tried to add several things to it without removing much. I learned that if your cup is already full, you can't add any more water to it and expect it to not spill all over the table. That is what 2024 looked like for me. A lot of overfilling, cleaning up the mess, trying again to add more water, and repeating the process. You have seen the quote stating that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That sums up my 2024. For me, this showed up in my personal life, my work, and even in how I approach recovery. I wanted to do it all. Be the best family member or friend to everyone in my life. Be the best at work. Be the best coach. Create the perfect podcast. Grow our Facebook community. Expand my social media presence. Answer every single DM that someone sent to me. And help as many people as possible. But the truth is, when we try to do everything, our energy is so scattered that nothing gets the attention it truly needs. We end up spinning our wheels and burning out. One of the biggest takeaways from 2024 was the importance of learning to prioritize and say no. Saying no is not a failure. It's a way to protect your energy and focus on what really matters. Moving into 2025, I'm committing to doing fewer things but doing them well. And I encourage you to think about where you might be spreading yourself too thin and how you could focus your efforts. I have touched on the topic of burnout in many of my episodes, but looking back, I have not dedicated an episode to it. So look for that coming in January. Lesson number 2. The further you get from your authentic self, the more lost you feel. We explored this idea in the episode Embracing Authenticity Over Fear, but this year it became personal for me in a new way. When I first started posting on social media, I focused on creating content that would get views. I'd follow all the best practice, keep Instagram Reels under 30 seconds, use trendy music, B-roll, and jump cuts, and structure everything perfectly to feed the algorithm. While the topics were important to me, something about it felt off. It started to feel performative, like I was chasing attention rather than sharing my authentic message. I probably spent 10 times more effort in editing the video to fit the mold than speaking on topics that mean a lot to me, most of which that can't be covered authentically in 30 seconds. I didn't know why it felt so uncomfortable at the time, but it led me to take a break from posting. Now, looking back, I realize it's because I wasn't being fully authentic. I was trying to fit myself into a mold that didn't feel true to who I am. That's why in 2025, I'm committing to showing up authentically in my content. I'll share the messages that resonate with me, regardless of what the algorithm might reward. Because the more aligned we are with our authentic selves, the more peace and fulfillment we will find. And my hope is that although my messages may not get as many views, it will have a more profound impact on the people who do watch them. Lesson number 3, you can't force things that are out of your control. Now, this lesson has been a recurring theme in my life, but has showed up big in 2024. I have worked in my current position at my 9-to-5 job for several years, and it has been communicated to me several times over those years that I was in line for a promotion. There were some things that my boss wanted me to improve on, some of which required me to step far outside of my comfort zone, but I have worked hard to do it. Then, this year, it appeared like it finally was happening. A position opened up on my team that perfectly aligned with the direction I wanted to go in my career, and I went to apply for it, and the position was already closed. Long story short, it seemed like the new leader of our department already had someone in mind, and I was told I wouldn't even be considered. But then that fell through, the position reopened, I applied for it, and it looked like I was finally in line to get it. It truly felt like the universe was finally going to reward me for all my hard work. But right when it appeared like it was going to happen, the leader I just mentioned left the company, so they pulled the position until a new leader could be put in place. Then, after all of that, my team got moved to a new department, which changed everything, and who knows when or if that position or any other one will open up anytime soon. It was a recurring theme that every time I'd get my hopes up thinking this is finally going to happen would only make me feel more frustrated and disappointed when it didn't. I've learned that no matter how much we want something or how hard we work for it, there are some things we simply can't control. Trying to force outcomes, whether it's a promotion, a relationship, or anything else, only leads to more frustration. Instead, we have to focus on what we can control, our effort, our mindset, and how we respond to setbacks. Learning to let go of control has taught me a tough lesson, but it's one that's brought me a lot of peace. If you're holding on too tightly to something in your life, I encourage you to take a step back and ask yourself, what's really in control here and what do I need to release? Lesson number 4, the importance of having a strong why in all things in our lives. We often discuss the importance of having a why in recovery, but this year I realized how this applies to every area of my life even more. Let's go back to my story about my promotion, or my lack of getting a promotion. When I examined my motivation, I saw that my why for wanting the promotion wasn't rooted in anything meaningful. It was about money and praise, things that in the grand scheme of things don't truly fulfill me. Is that promotion going to make me happier? Well, temporarily having more money will be nice. Changing the title on my email signature will feel good for a couple of weeks. But if my past career successes has taught me anything, it is that chasing the feel-good that comes from promotions requires always chasing the next promotion. And I'm starting to seriously question if that grind is for me. This realization forced me to step back and ask, why am I doing what I am doing? If I can't find a strong personal reason behind something, then maybe it's not worth pursuing. Having a clear why gives us direction, motivation, and resilience. Whether it's staying sober, pursuing a goal, or even deciding how to spend your time, your why is your anchor. And if you're struggling to find your why in any area of your life, it might be time to reevaluate whether that thing truly aligns with your values and goals. Now, I'm not sure yet where my realization will lead me in 2025 since it is still pretty fresh. But it is something that I know I need to evaluate further, so stay tuned and I'll keep you updated on this. Lesson number 5, setting boundaries is key in life. Boundaries have been a recurring theme this year. We've talked about setting boundaries with others, how to protect your peace, communicate your needs, and maintain your sobriety. But this year, I also realized the importance of setting boundaries with myself. When I look back on some of my struggles this year, they often come back to not respecting the boundaries I've set for myself. I've fallen into old habits, not prioritizing my physical and mental health, overcommitting, chasing things out of my control, and losing touch with my why. These lessons are all interconnected, and they all come back to boundaries. Boundaries aren't just about keeping things out. They're about creating space for what matters most. Moving into 2025, I'm recommitting to honoring my boundaries, both with others and with myself. Because when we respect our boundaries, we create the conditions for growth, peace, and progress. As we wrap up this year, I want to thank you for being part of this journey with me. The lessons I've shared today are ones I've learned through experience, and I hope they resonate with you as you reflect on your own year. Although 2024 has been a challenging one for me, it has also been full of lessons that, if I choose to learn from them, will set me up for a great 2025. I'd love for you to take some time this week to think about your own top lessons from 2024. What have you learned? What have you overcome? And how can you carry those lessons into the new year to make 2025 an amazing year also? Thank you for listening to this episode, and I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you are, please do me a favor and grab your phone and text one person who you think might benefit from listening to the podcast. That would mean the world to me. New episodes come out each Friday, so I look forward to connecting with you next week. And as always, thank you so much for listening, and keep living sober and happy.